This work draws on Dr. Eve Ewing's book, Ghosts in the Schoolyard. Dr. Ewing's book addresses a permanent and racially targeted loss of community. Well, I became interested in the concept of mourning the sense of self in school through Dr. Ewing's work as we experience a temporary and more diffuse loss of community as a result of COVID-19. I want to be clear that the gravity of loss Dr. Ewing speaks to is far more severe, and I do not wish to detract from this. It is our duty to fight against school closings. 17 artworks from places I used to teach that I keep in my filing cabinet. When we remember what we've lost, we remember first with love. In institution mourning, this doesn't just mean love for a school or for the people in it. It can also mean love for ourselves within the school. In losing a school, one loses a version of oneself, a self understood to be a member of a community, living and learning in relation to other community members. Dr. Eve Ewing. For years, I've been handed objects, small sculptures, notes, and paintings by the people who walk along my side. Institutions produce a profusion of material. This happens on a broad conceptual level, but here I'm interested in the physical and personal. Some images lift the imagination, transfiguring the memory of the community and the space into the room of the mind. As the work generates its place of origin, it can also be generative of images. I've made small reproduction of these artworks on note cards, generations of images from students through me to you. What alchemy of distortion can images play on the timeline of our institutional pasts? A 12 by 18, mostly oil pastel folded into quarters. In front are 3 giant acute green triangles reaching upwards. The background is primarily dark blue, although there is a purple shape jutting out behind it, almost like if you were looking at a peninsula from further down the bay. On the left side of the bay, holding to the peninsula, a blue road emerges, but the highlight of this piece is a large neon pink rabbit with purple ears drawn in profile. It's outlined in Sharpie with the exception of 4 little feet that sit directly below it, almost like duck paddles. Its tail is beige, its eyes are outlined in pencil and left uncolored, a white circle with a graphite iris at the center. On the back, only the pink oil has bled through so you can see the shape of the bunny. Black and white photographic print of an elderly man on a bus. Excellent balance of tone. The man looks straight into the camera, holding a coffee cup like he's about to toast the photographer. The photographer was a kindred spirit, and I'm terrified of the image, which is a resin-based print fading, so it never sees the sun. To the left of the man is an out-of-focus person with dark black hair, and when it is viewed from the side in bright light, the darkness of the hair creates a black halo around its form where the silver crystals gather. The puppy does not have a nose. It has a large oval head, 3 freckles on each cheek, a crown, and a collar with a teardrop on it. I know it is a puppy because it says, "I'm a puppy." Above that text, it reads, for Miss Alice from C. I want to be very honest, I cannot remember in my teaching life ever going by Miss Alice, so I do not know what moved C to call it this. Above and to the left of the text is a loose arrow pointing towards my puppy. A woman's profile that transforms into a front view painted in watercolor on a thick, coarsely cut slab of illustration board. Her hair forms an abstracted animal print of India ink and jewel tones, almost like a bird on a David Attenborough show. A pencil drawing on 9 by 11 manila paper made while lying on the linoleum floor of an elementary school classroom. A large oval face takes up most of the paper with 2 differently sized eyes and pointy cat's ears at the top of its head. The smile is a large wedge. It has a loose tangle of spots all over its face, and at the top it says Mr. Chickenpox. An oil pastel drawing that says J in the top right corner. Beneath that are a series of M-like black lines. Through the middle is a yellow tornado shape. At the bottom, black oil pastel builds a ground line, and I stand on top of it, holding one end of a twisty, twirly jump rope. I am a small purple figure in a dress. A frowning creature jumps in the middle with whiskers popping out of its cheeks and 4 little black leg lines. To the right is Jay, much larger than me, frowning in a purple top and long black skirt. Jay was a 5-year-old with an undercut and most days wore a tutu to school. An extensive diagram explaining how a car engine works, ending with the truth that inside it is a fairy wearing a gas mask. A hammer given to me by P, made of a 1-inch cylinder of balsa wood with a thinner 4-inch dowel rod drilled into its center. Two drawings of me when I am 23. I have cat-eye glasses, a round chin, and a smile in both images. Both are dusted with several different types of glitter. One brand of marker used has faded while the other remains vibrant. Both say Bowie Alice. A student asked me to co-teach a David Bowie class, which for him meant we listened to David Bowie for an hour. Everyone face-painted Ziggy Stardust lightning bolts on their faces, and then we made and exchanged portraits of each other covered with glitter. It looks like I have a baguette in my head, but I think it's meant to be a beret. I smile and my tongue sticks up from the bottom of my mouth. On my chest is a heart and it says Alyssa. It says the oddball in the room in quotations in its upper right-hand corner. It was left behind at the end of summer, and I took it home because it made my chest feel weird, full of ache and somehow uncontainable. Hair runs into a girl's huge eyes and eyebrows. It's drawn in ebony pencil. All the lines are heavy. She cries a chain of diamonds. A hand crosses with her face, and you can see her nose through the hand, and was maybe a shirt sleeve, maybe snot. Her mouth looks like Nickelodeon cartoons in the 90s, and lines pop out of her neck. It's a loose drawing, loose in a way that reminds me of how the Harry Who might have drawn when they were 12. A sculpture of a hot dog made out of twisted pipe cleaners. A dark brown bun, a red sausage link, then lines of ketchup, mustard, and tiny white and pink pipe cleaners twisted together and cut up like onions. Beautifully rendered gouache painting of a chicken nugget, muddy blues and greens shining through the shadows, given to me by a dear friend who was my coworker at the time. A raccoon or cat on a piece of loose leaf paper, hands jutting out, standing and grinning at the center of a desert the size of a small rectangular carpet. They hold a paintbrush out to the side, the size of their arm. To their left is one tall and one short segmented cactus colored in green highlighter. An orange block print of a perfect smokestack with 3 little towers rising from it. I'm going to switch my sound really quickly. Educational spaces sit on a trajectory of their inhabitants, shuffling in and out, overlapping bars on a long timeline no one quite keeps track of. Our timeline sits nestled in our own self-stories. They also sit recorded in yearbooks and municipal or school records offices, usually parsed down to the level of the individual's record. Being an educator affords you a strange spot on that timeline. You float in a space that could expand or contract at any moment. Most of the time, you don't quite know its ending until you are close, and once you have left, your length on the timeline is for the first time crystallized. Your broad view of those flowing in and out has become finite. You've known the teachers, students, custodians, and administrators, and now you will not know the them that continues to grow in that specific too fast, too slow hot house of education.
Sometime later, you chase after each other, trying to keep track of the slippery fish of your mutual evolution outside the clasp of the classroom. The objects left over are held with reverence, a beloved transitional device resting in a cabinet, waiting. Thank you.